Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving headfirst into some really fascinating source material. It really might change how you think about Anubis.
Yeah, one of the most, iconic figures from ancient Egypt, but maybe not in the way we usually picture him.
Exactly. Our sources, they're collected under this title, Anubis, Prayers for Hope and Abundance. And honestly, they show a side of him that's miles away from just being the god of the dead.
Right. Not just the guardian of the tomb.
We're looking past that today. We want to understand his role in, well, securing real, immediate blessings for people while they were alive. Things like health, wealth, actual hope for their current lives.
Tangible stuff.
Totally. So our mission really is to unpack the actual prayers, the rituals described, the how and the why. So when we go to Anubis asking for these very present-day benefits.
And what's really striking looking at this material is how incredibly structured it all is. It's almost legalistic.
Legalistic? How so?
Well, it shows that asking for blessings wasn't just like a hopeful shout into the void. There was a clear process, a sequence.
Okay.
First, you had to establish the right kind of space, the place for the blessing. Then you sort of secure your position with the god. And only then, after all that preparation, do you actually lay out your specific requests. For life, for abundance.
Sounds very methodical.
It really is. Like a structured transaction grounded in devotion.
Okay, let's dig into that structure then.
Yeah.
Starting at the very beginning, preparation. Where does this whole exchange kick off? The sources mention something called the Temple of Hope.
Yes, the Temple of Hope. And it's described precisely as a place for blessings. That's step one.
So not necessarily a huge building?
Probably not always, no. It's more about the dedicated space. Could be a home shrine, could be a marked-off area somewhere else. But the key is the worshiper has to consciously create this focal point.
Why is the physical space so important?
Well, the idea seems to be that the divine favor, the blessing itself, needs somewhere to land, to take root. If the space isn't right, isn't prepared, the blessing might just dissipate. It won't stick.
Okay, that makes sense. So, establish the place first. Prerequisite. Once that's done, what's the next step? You mentioned making contact.
That's right. Explicit contact. The sources call it the call for favor. This is where the worshiper formally signals their intention. They're initiating the conversation with Anubis.
Like knocking on the door, ritually speaking.
Kind of, yeah. It's that moment you shift from just preparing to actively petitioning. You're saying, okay, I'm here, I need your attention, I need your help. It establishes the relationship for this interaction.
You can't just barge in with your requests.
Exactly. You have to get his attention first, secure that presence.
Got it. So the stage is set, place established, contact made. Now the source material talks about the actions the worshiper takes. It seems to focus on two main things: getting protection and showing respect.
And they're interlinked. You need defense. Even when you're appealing to a powerful protector like Anubis, the world's chaotic, right?
So how do they secure that defense? The text mentions the protective circle. That sounds very visual.
It likely was, both visual and spiritual. It could involve physically marking out a boundary, maybe with special salts, water, stones, something like that, or even just specific body postures, creating a kind of invisible fence.
But why? If you're asking Anubis for help, isn't he already on your side? Why need extra protection?
Good question. Appealing to a god, any god, draws attention. And not all attention is necessarily benign. You might attract unwanted notice, maybe from lesser spirits or just bad luck.
Ah.
So before you make yourself vulnerable by asking for something good, like wealth, you need to secure the perimeter. Ward off anything that might try to interfere or snatch that blessing away. It's like building spiritual walls before you open the door.
Right, building a fortress before stating your case. That makes a lot of sense, especially if you're asking for something valuable. But it wasn't just about taking, right? They had to give, show honor.
Precisely. This is where the transaction really comes into focus. Seeking aid requires reciprocity, and that comes through the offering of gifts.
Gifts? What kind are we talking about? Like promises of future good deeds?
No, these seem to be tangible, immediate things. Votive objects, maybe food, incense, perhaps even bits of valuable material, depending on what the person could afford.
So real stuff.
Real stuff, yeah. The texts emphasize that the offering needs to represent a genuine investment from the worshiper. It shows sincerity, immediate gratitude, it kind of ups the ante. You're thanking Anubis now, acknowledging his power before you even get to the main requests.
So the timing matters. gratitude first.
Absolutely. And it's not just gifts. The sources also stress the sacred gestures. This tells us that the worship was physical, embodied.
Gestures,
Yeah.
like specific ways of bowing or holding things.
Yeah, very likely.
Mm.
Precise movements, certain body postures, maybe how you hold your hands, avert your gaze, things that convey humility, respect, focus. It's a choreographed plea.
Wow.
If you pull back and look at the whole sequence, the circle, the gifts, the gestures, it shows a clear pattern. You ask for protection and help, yes, but only after demonstrating complete submission and gratitude through tangible offerings and disciplined physical actions. You essentially have to earn the right to ask.
Okay, so you've done the prep, shown respect, offered gifts. Now we get to the heart of it. And this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. The specific things they asked Anubis for.
Right.
Because they are so grounded, so focused on everyday life needs. It really challenges that God of the dead only idea.
Totally.
Let's start with the basics. Survival. Functioning day to day. The sources mentioned the prayers of well-being. So straightforward requests for health.
Exactly. Asking Anubis to maintain their health, keep them well, which, underlines his role in preserving life right here, right now. Health is fundamental for everything else.
Of course. But then comes the really unexpected part, at least for me, based on the usual image of Anubis.
Material gain.
Yes. The text uses this amazing phrase, the promise of abundance. A direct, specific request for wealth, for prosperity.
It's quite something, isn't it? Linking Anubis, the guide for the dead, the master embalmer, directly to, cash flow, financial success.
It seems almost contradictory. Why go to him for that? Why not a god more obviously associated with, say, trade or harvest?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But if you think about his traditional role, Anubis is the master of preservation.
Okay.
His whole job is ensuring the body doesn't decay, that it remains whole for the afterlife. He ensures a safe journey, maintains integrity against the forces of chaos and dissolution.
So you're saying they saw that power of preservation?
And applied it to their worldly goods, their finances, their livelihoods.
Yeah. Is that the idea?
It seems very likely. The same divine power that preserves the body and guides the soul safely through the darkness of the duat, the underworld. That same power is being invoked to preserve their wealth, their farms, their businesses from the decay of bad luck or failure in this life.
Wow. So his power isn't limited to the afterlife, it crosses over.
It seems his power was seen as encompassing all aspects of existence, ensuring continuity and integrity, whether you're talking about a body or a business. They're essentially asking him to embalm their fortunes, make sure they last.
That completely reframes his role. He's an active patron for success in life, not just a guide after death.
Precisely. And it confirms he's seen as a powerful agent affecting their current reality.
Okay, so health and wealth covered.
Yes.
Is there anything else? Anything broader?
Yes. Beyond those specifics, there's also this overarching request, the blessing of life.
Just life itself.
Yeah, general vitality, continued existence, the fundamental desire for things to just keep going and keep going well. It's the foundation under health and wealth.
So the full package.
It really is. Health, wealth, and continued vitality. It paints a picture of Anubis as this comprehensive guarantor of a successful life, ensuring you reach the end not just prepared for death, but having lived well under his protection.
Okay, so the worshipper's gone through the whole process, established the space, made contact, protected themselves, shown honor, made the big asks for health and wealth and life. What about making it last? Was it just a one-off fix they were looking for?
Doesn't seem like it. The goal appears to be endurance. They wanted the effects to stick around.
How do we know that?
Well, the sources talk about the legacy of hope. This phrase suggests it wasn't just about solving an immediate problem, like a sudden illness or a financial dip. It was about establishing an ongoing state of favor.
A lasting relationship.
Exactly. Creating a sort of covenant with Anubis. They've invested a lot in this ritual. The preparation, the gifts. They want it to be a permanent source of stability and hope. The idea that the blessing could just fade away after a week would undermine the whole effort.
Right, you wouldn't go through all that for a temporary fix.
Probably not. And reinforcing that is another phrase we find, an eternal prayer. This points to the belief, or at least the hope, that his favor is continuous, ongoing.
So the ritual itself might be a specific event, but the state of grace it creates is meant to be indefinite.
That seems to be the intention. It elevates the specific actions into a lasting condition, maintaining that protective, abundant circle around the worshiper.
Okay, so if we pull it all together,
Yeah, you can really see the whole journey. The worshiper carefully sets up a place for blessings, invokes that protective circle, honors Anubis with meaningful gifts and precise sacred gestures, then asks for vital health and remarkably material abundance, and finally cements the deal with the hope for an enduring eternal blessing, a legacy of hope.
then it's quite a system.
It really is. A profound way of trying to secure both life and prosperity, all under the watch of a god we usually associate only with death.
It absolutely flips the script on Anubis. So the key takeaway for you listening to this is that people appeal to him not just for a safe afterlife journey, but for very real, immediate help, health, wealth, general well-being in this life. And they did it through these very clear, structured acts of honor and, well, investment.
And that leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. Since these prayers specifically ask for both the promise of abundance, the wealth, and the prayers of well-being, the health, what does that tell us about their priorities?
Good question.
Is the wealth primarily sought as a way to support health and ensure a good life? Or is prosperity maybe a goal in itself, just as important as physical well-being in their eyes? What was ultimately valued most in this particular line of devotion to Anubis?
That's a fascinating angle.
Yeah.
Something to definitely think about regarding the connections between ritual, hope, and what people truly need or think they need. Until next time, keep digging deeper into the sources.